Podcast. 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 Yeah, it's the Racer X Exhaust Podcast again. Just coming at you. We've got so much content from so many riders because they've been very easy to get in touch with during this break. You have to wonder, will that change? I think we'll be good during the 3 weeks that we're in Salt Lake City because they won't be able to fly home. Most of them won't ride. They'll still have a lot of time on their hands, but who knows? Do we have a new paradigm? Will things be different in 2021? I don't know. But it's been great to get all this info from all these riders. So we're going to roll out two more today, Adam Cianciarulo and Justin Brayton on the podcast talking about the plan to race in Salt Lake City. All brought to you by Yoshimura. Yoshimura Exhaust. They're on Justin Brayton's Honda. And you can get them too. Go to yoshimura-rd.com. 60 years plus of four-stroke research and development. And just new, a completely different wing of the company, the YoshimuraCycling.com area, got that new Chaleo pedal that you can put on your bicycle, made in the USA, super high-end pedal. It's a flat pedal, but I've been told it works. If you're a clip guy, maybe you should be, or like me, maybe you shouldn't be a clip guy, even if you are a clip guy, the Chaleo pedal is the way to go. So go to YoshimuraCycling.com to check that out, and then subscribe to Racer X, exclusive content in the magazine. You can read it in print or in the digital edition. It's baked right into our website. It reads easily. However, you have to be a subscriber to access. But it's cheap, 99 cents for 3 months digital access. Just go to racerxonline.com/Weege. That's WEEGE. Don't do it with anything Steve Mathis says. I want the credit, not him. Okay, that's established. Now let's get to our interviews. I think I've talked about this enough. You know the situation. We're going to race for 3 weeks in Salt Lake City, May 31st through June 21st. Adam Cianciarulo had a collarbone injury. Didn't see him at a couple of races, and now he will be back. Maybe playing the spoiler role, maybe getting that first win. Let's check in with AC.
What up?
Dude.
Yeah.
I don't even, with those shades, I think you could like turn the phone. I could watch myself through your mirror lenses and do it that way or something like that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, man. Especially when you start driving with these things on, it just gives your eyes such a nice rest. I just couldn't bring myself to take them off. You know, they teach you in PR classes not to wear glasses when doing interviews or interacting with people because it makes you less personable. But the eyes, it feels so nice on the eyes.
Just can't resist. So honestly, you could tell a whole bunch of lies in this interview. We won't be able to tell because we can't see you.
You won't be able to read anything. Yeah, no way.
Yeah, no tells. Yeah, you told me that you're going to be driving. Are you driving back from the track? What was going on today?
Yeah, so NYK is driving.
Oh, yeah.
Here. Yeah, we went up to Glen Helen, actually. So, Mitch's track, Pro Circuit.
Yep.
Did a few laps, did a couple motos with McAdoo up there and tried some stuff. So that's it. We had a pretty good day. That track's always super hard to ride for some reason. It's like a 44-second lap time. So a 20 plus 1 is, I think, 28 laps. So it's always pretty challenging.
What level of prep are we talking here? Were you motoing down forever, or when you found out about this, did you need to like, oh, he's taking him off. He's taking him off.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, it's being personable. Did you have to change anything and like, oh, I got to ramp it up more now that I know for sure we're racing May 31st, or were you already in a normal program going for it anyway?
Nick has me overtrained at all times.
Oh, okay.
We were in the game.
Hey, you got to stay ready, Weege. You got to stay ready.
Okay.
Well, so when everybody was kind of taking some time off. I got back on the bike right about the same time they canceled Indy. It was like that week I got back on the bikes. I just wanted to get back up to speed because I wasn't quite sure how long the hiatus was going to be. So everybody took a few weeks off, and I was just getting going again. And then everybody started coming back because we started hearing about, maybe racing May 15th and all that stuff. So I've pretty much been doing my normal program for the past, since Indy, essentially, or what was supposed to be Indy.
Did you almost get to the point where you needed to back it down a bit, or is overtraining trainer over there just keep grinding?
No, I give Nick crap, but no, we've definitely backed it down there for a few weeks. I think I was only riding twice a week, and kind of just focused on some other stuff off the bike, maybe getting a little stronger, some things like that, some longer bike rides, and basically off-season stuff. You know, you have to kind of, obviously, you know, we have to train a little bit differently, and we kind of went into a little, I think we had it planned out where at the time, you know, at the time if we were going to race like May 15th, we were looking at it basically like we were in October or November, you know, so we kind of mapped it out that way. And so I kind of took a little, you know, I guess hiatus in terms of training, like the volume went down quite a bit. And then we started ramping it up just like we would for our like preseason camp. And now we're back in taper mode.
Were there any issues from your team, at least, with like, because I've heard all over the map, was the team like, hey man, we got to ration parts. We don't have mechanics. We can't, you go to the test track. Like, any complications with that kind of thing?
No, I mean, Kawasaki, they shut down for a little while. So basically they told me not to be too crazy on parts, you know, back in Florida where I was riding. So maybe stayed off the clutch a little bit more than normal, maybe revved it a little bit less. But other than that, I have a good amount of parts and obviously have a mechanic and stuff that I employ in Florida. So we were all set there. And I actually, before we even knew if we were racing or not, I was getting a little bit anxious. We had some stuff to test on the bike before if we were going to go back to Supercross, and we still didn't know what we were doing. And I think this was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, as soon as Cali opened back up, I'm like, I'm coming out there. We got to do some testing and stuff. So, and then as soon as I came out here, they basically announced that we were racing May 31st. So, everything's been back to normal here the last couple of weeks.
Okay, every rider that I've talked to during this, I've asked, and the answers to this also all over the map. Some guys are like, dude, I'm so used to waking up with a goal and a purpose, and I got to get better by the next week, and I got to improve. This is driving me nuts. Some guys say that doesn't bother them at all. Where were you with this without having a race to utilize what you're gaining each week in?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Can you summarize that question for me?
Yes, I will make it simpler. Was it hard for you to not have a race to see where you're at? A lot of guys was driving them nuts. They didn't have anything to aim for. They didn't have anything to schedule for. They want to be creatures of habit. Other guys say, I don't care. I'll just race whenever. How did you feel?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been one where I feel like I don't know. I kind of, like, I always start out pretty good, right? Like, I think I come into series, and I think I kind of felt that way this year, where I can kind of just get the hang of it really fast. And I even feel that way about, like, learning a track. I always feel like I'm really good that way. So, for me, it wasn't necessarily, like, I guess I maybe wasn't as anxious as most people, you know. I think, I think I'm in a position too where I have no championship stress on me or anything like that. And in that position with Eli or Ken, I could see that being something that, you know, that waits on you all the time. So you're like, man, you know, I gotta finish this thing out or whatever. But in terms of where I was at, I was like, you know, after a few weeks on the bike, I'm like, I'm ready to go racing tomorrow, you know. So as soon as I get the call to, you know, what we're doing, I think, I tried to keep it pretty light. I didn't feel too anxious or anything like that. But I mean, it's obviously not ideal not to have a goal, but at the same time, it's like, what else are we going to do? This is what I do for a living. I drive to the track. I train. I ride a bicycle. I mean, it's how I live my life. So, I'm not just going to sit on the couch and play Call of Duty all day. So I don't know what I would do if I wasn't doing this stuff.
Hey, this is your rookie year. It's almost like you get to do it in two halves. Is there something you've learned or gained or improved on where you're like, hey, I got a second chance because that's all about learning as a rookie. You had a chance to take all that in. Could that help now that you get another shot at it?
Yeah, for sure. I talked to Nick a little bit about it a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like I'm almost trying to adopt the mentality like my rookie season's over, essentially. Not that I don't give myself some leeway to still learn and improve like always, but having a break in the season like that and having some time to reflect on things I can do better and just making a game plan overall to fix it. I mean, I think as a pro, it's very easy to get trapped in, just going to the track, clocking in, doing your motos, clocking out and leaving. And, and you really kind of lose your, I guess, enthusiasm that way. And sometimes that can kind of hinder your ability to make changes and be better. But I think the break was good because I could really analyze what I need to do better and kind of really take those thoughts with me to the track and try to improve them. And I feel like I've done that. I feel like we've changed some things on the bike too, which I think will translate really well. And I'm really excited about. And can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. Yep. Yeah, we lost it for a second. We're good. Okay, so you got hurt. You broke your collarbone. How nuts did it drive you to have to watch? I think it was only 2 races in the end, especially Daytona, which is a home race in a way. Were you going insane?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The one that really drove me nuts is Atlanta, because a bunch of people had problems. You had Anderson on the ground a couple times. Cooper had a bad start. Eli was, working his way from the back. He had a crash. Ken obviously dominated that one. But I'm thinking to myself, like, I feel like every time I have my crap together out there and I get a good start or do whatever, I mean, everybody's always got their absolute A game. I have like Ken, Ken, Eli, Cooper, they're all right there behind me. Everybody's got a clean start. All the heavy hitters are up front. So for me, I think that was maybe, the races where, crap's just hitting the fan. I'm like, dude, why can't I be out there? Like, I'm a good starter. This would be the easiest, first or second place of my life. But no, I mean, it's never too fun watching.
Yeah, plus it wasn't like your injury was that massive, right? I know you've said it a couple times. Like, you were back on the bike pretty quickly. It wasn't like you were super laid up.
No, not at all. I mean, when you put a plate in the collarbone, it's pretty quick. It's pretty much as pain allows. I mean, you've heard stories of guys like Hurlings and Bowers and all those guys getting plates in the collarbone and then riding the very next weekend. So I was back on the bike, I think 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was for a little bit at first, but it's the injury you want to have if you're going to have one, like out of anything, essentially.
Yeah, that's true. You were killing it in all the qualifying sessions for the most part this year. But I think you were saying every time, that was not like a goal. Like, you weren't putting on the whiteboard in the rig, like, must be fastest qualifier, keep the streak alive. It's just working out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to get the perception that after you see me be fastest, whatever, 6 or 7 races in a row, and you're like, man, maybe he just tries way harder than everybody else.
Right.
But truthfully, I just have a lot of raw speed, and I'm really good at that stuff. I've always felt comfortable kind of hanging it out how you have to do in practice. And it's like, I compared it, last time somebody asked me about it after a race or something, it's like hitting a free throw and then racing's like hitting a 3-pointer. They're two different skills. They're 2 different skills. And like, my racing skill is really good too, but maybe at this point in my career, maybe it hasn't caught up, to my raw speed. And obviously that's my goal every time, is to transfer that raw speed into the main and do it. But it's a completely different, it's a completely different discipline. So you have to, you have to be good at both.
Bro, you mentioned basketball, so I have to figure you've watched Last Dance. I have to figure this.
Oh, of course.
You're probably scheduling your Sundays based on Last Dance, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the big Michael Jordan documentary. Okay, as an athlete, when you see what we already knew about Michael Jordan, but we see it more than ever, this unbelievable, cold-blooded, I'm out to make everybody look bad and dominate people all the time. What's your take when you see that mentality as an athlete yourself?
I think it's awesome. I really do. I think it's cool. And I think you saw the same thing with people say the same thing about Kobe and a lot of other really great superstars. I think it's like they have so much in one area that maybe like on the social side of things, they're a little bit basically kind of assholes. I think.
Yeah.
It's just, and sometimes, to be honest with you, when I see that stuff, I wish I was more that way. Like, I wish I was a little bit more, I wish I was more of a dick, I think sometimes excuse my language, I don't know how to put that, but I think sometimes that's, it's good because you can block other stuff out and really not worry about, I guess how you treat people. It allows you to have just one focus and one thing only. But then I also think to myself, I think it can be done a lot of different ways too. I think you see LeBron James these days, and he doesn't have that same I don't think Kobe or Jordan mentality. So it's certainly interesting to me to see the mentalities and kind of how they translate based on the different guy.
Well, I think a lot of times fans get mad when riders say, we've been having fun, or I just want to have fun, or I'm enjoying myself. And they're saying the job isn't to have fun, it's to win races. But sometimes not having that mentality, the pressure being off, enjoying yourself actually is what makes you win. It is a tool sometimes to perform better. Not everybody rides in anger like Michael Jordan played in anger.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, everybody's different. Like, people are motivated by different things. You know, sometimes I do. Like, sometimes I would just rode with Cameron McAdoo today. Sometimes I like talking crap to him between motos because he'll talk back to me about something or say something, and it'll piss me off enough to where it gives me an edge in the next moto. And that's just what I needed that day.
Yeah.
But some days I need to pretend like a race isn't even happening. And I just need to, have fun and let it flow. And I think it's just about knowing yourself enough to, I guess, kind of just, act accordingly. I think it's just everybody's different. I do think there are underlying qualities within all champions and really great athletes that you have to have, but I think it comes across differently for most people.
All right, let's talk about the details here at Utah. How are you going to play it? Will you ride during the week? Do you know? Can you even? How's that going to work once you're out there?
I'm not sure. I think Cowie is in the process of trying to get a private Supercross track just for basically like every Friday, because that seems like it's the only day that's going to work. Obviously, with racing Sunday and Wednesday, it'll be tough to kind of justify doing anything else. So we might be able to get a day of riding in between, but if not, it's one of those things where we have so many laps on Supercross tracks, and we have a lot of training in terms of bicycle stuff and gym, and we'll be able to do that. I plan on driving over there. I've already rented a house, and I'll bring my bicycle and some gym equipment and stuff like that. So we'll be able to stay on top of things. And, obviously we're not going to be able to get the same, 3 days a week of riding in between races.
Right.
We've all done this enough to where I don't think you'll see too much of an effect, when it comes to race time. Most of us, I think, know how to do it.
Well, I think the only real factor is if it spins people out mentally, like, oh man, I'm out of sorts. So are you a guy that is a super creature of habit, and what happened during the week, you're thinking about it all day on Saturday? Or are you a guy that whatever happens, you just brush it aside and go racing?
Yeah, I'm more of a brush it aside.
Yeah.
I think that's something I've learned to be better at as my career has progressed, because, you've seen me since I was a little kid, I used to get really fired up if something went awry. And I think, too, that was kind of part of a little bit like, I don't know, just how much emphasis I had on doing well at such a young age. I think that's just a byproduct of that. Initially, when you're young, when you spend your whole life doing something and you don't reach a goal, it's like unacceptable. And but as you get older, you realize that it's detrimental to yourself to carry that stuff through. So I feel like this year that I would say that's one of the things I've done quite a bit better than I have in years past. It's just kind of learn to let things go, whether it be, me getting a 7th or an 8th and just kind of brushing it aside. And, you still have to take what you can from it. You got to learn from it and move on. But yeah, you got to leave it there, man. It sucks to bring that stuff home and carry it with you all week. I think my career, if I looked at the things the same as I did a few years ago, I think I'd be retired by the time I'm 25. So I think we've taken a better approach.
You can't take that Michael Jordan approach and feel slighted 7 days a week.
No, you can, but that would be a tough life. And I feel like I have a decent perspective now, I guess, now that I'm a little bit older, on just life in general. And as much as I want to, race and be dominant and win championships, I think it's also important to have good quality of life as well.
Is there any concern? You got elevation there. Is that something that you have to contend with? Some riders tell me elevation is overrated. Doesn't really matter. Have you guys talked about this?
Yeah, I think there's some things that you can do to help out, but I think mainly it's just about going up there, and which shouldn't be too much of a problem, and not overdoing it, in terms of training. And, we're not going to be hopping on the bicycle doing 3-hour rides or anything like that. But I've always felt really good for some reason at elevation. Not like nothing exceptional, but I never feel like it has too big of an effect on me. Obviously, at like Thunder Valley and I've raced Salt Lake before in Denver Supercross, and I felt pretty good. So yeah, it'll have an effect, but hopefully kind of more the same for me, where it's not as bad.
And are you guys worried about the track situation? Like, I don't know. We've never had 7 straight Supercross races in the same dirt. They said the track's going to change, but not as much as they would like because they don't have a whole week in between. How do you handle all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to wrap your head around the whole thing being different.
Yep.
You know, the whole thing's going to be weird. It's going to be weird, and that's just the way it is, and it's going to be like that for everybody. So for me, like I told you a couple questions ago, I always feel good getting a track down quick. So the less practice time we have, and we're not doing track walk, anything like that, I feel like that kind of plays in my advantage, and that's my attitude, and sticking to it.
Okay. Okay, I got to ask this one. Your teammates in a title fight. We know your buddies with Ken in a title fight. You can ask NYK about this because he's a big fan of the movie Winners Take All. Oh no, are you freezing? You got it? You there?
No, I was reconnected. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Well, you can ask NYK about Winners Take All. He's a huge fan of the movie. If the owner of Kawasaki comes and like shakes her hand with a huge wad of like thousands of dollars and says, you have to take Ken Roczen out to help the company, what do you do, man? How does this work? You got your friend and your teammate in this battle. How does it work?
Jeez, dude, I feel so bad at making you repeat that question because it seemed like it was pretty intricate, but I couldn't hear you.
I will make it simpler.
I heard something about a wad of cash, and you really had me locked in, and then I couldn't hear you.
You would like the wad of cash. Here, I'll make it simple. I'll make it simple. You've got your buddy battling for a title. You got your teammate battling for a title. What do you do, man?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no, I try to beat both their asses.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Yep. I have no time. That's between those guys.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm going to get sketchy no matter what. So they're just going to have to look out, I guess.
That's a great answer. Bro, you participated in this Supercross over the weekend.
Yeah.
Dude, what a duel. You and Seven Deuce going
fun.
at it.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It's funny, we did a little practice the day before, and everybody was giving me crap, Daniel Blair especially, about getting cleaned out by Hampshire in that left-hand corner after the whoops at A1, and that's a track that we did the E-race at. And so, of course, it works out where Seven Deuce is right behind me, the last lap of the 20-minute main event, which I don't think I've ever played the Supercross game for that long. And, yeah, he cleaned me out in the same exact spot RJ put me down, and everybody was giving me crap about it. But, no, it was fun. That was a solid fourth for me. I'm a PlayStation guy, and they had us on Xbox. So I needed a little bit more test time, I think, if I wanted to get up on the box. But, no, it was super fun.
Are you you're a PlayStation guy, but, like, how much? Like, do you play that game a lot, actually?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I don't play Supercross game that much, but I'm a huge Call of Duty guy.
As a log. The amount of time is not talking about as time. It's talking about log time.
Yeah, it's log time. So let me just give it to you this way, right?
That's how serious it is. It's a log time.
It's serious. It's a nightly thing. So there's this thing called Warzone.
Boy.
It's like Call of Duty's version of Fortnite. I'm sure most of you guys know how that works, but it's teams. And somehow I've linked up with this my buddy Lawson Craddock. He's a cyclist, like races Tour de France stuff, like he's the real deal. And his buddy Nate, and we log a lot of hours, like on a nightly basis, right? And we've gotten like pretty tight to the point where last night I received an invitation to Nate's wedding.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never met him before in my life, but he's like, here, I'm just going to leave this here. He sent me a picture of the wedding invitation. I'm like, I'm going to be there. It's like it's sometime in October.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, I'm going. So that's how much I play PlayStation. Just a little tidbit.
He's got some tight virtual friends.
Yeah, we're super tight.
Super tight virtual friends.
You've never actually met. That's the best part.
No, I haven't met either of them, but I would put them in my top 10, like, friends. like if there was a MySpace top 8 friends, how they used to do, they'd be in my top 8.
Wow, you're both showing how young you are with the video games and how old you are knowing MySpace top 8.
Oh yeah, I was a big MySpace guy.
So when the riders want to say, like, dude, you don't understand how difficult this job is. We pulled in a million directions. We have no time. You actually have time to do logging hours on a video game nightly.
Well, here's the thing. So what people don't understand is a lot of our day is between like 6 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon.
Yep.
Especially on days that you don't have gym. Like I'm driving home from the track now. It's 1:30, and I don't really have anything to do the rest of the day, unless I want to, organize the house or go do something like golf or something like that. But most of the time, it's more beneficial to chill out. And for me, my mind is racing so much that I can't just sit there and watch movies or TV the whole time. So if I'm going to sit there, I got to get my mind active, and I think it's a little bit of the competitive side too. I get my butt whooped in Call of Duty for sure, and I log more hours than my girlfriend approves of. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's your next obstacle. Forget what the trainer thinks. Worry about what your girlfriend thinks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we don't care what Nick says, but Jen is cracking the whip.
All right. Last thing, the obvious question: when you found out for sure Supercross was really back, how pumped were you, dude?
I was super pumped. I think everybody was like, at a certain point, we get updates every Monday, every Wednesday, and it's like, we'll tell you more next Wednesday. We'll tell you more next Wednesday. And at a certain point, I'm like, we're not racing. Like I just told myself, because I kept getting so excited. I'm like, we're just not racing. So I kind of put that, and not that I stopped training or anything, but that's just the kind of mindset I took until I heard a definite answer. Yeah. And then when you're like, okay, guys, like we are actually going racing. It's quite the feeling, man. I have a lot of built up energy, and I'm definitely not as happy as a person when I don't have that goal, of racing on the weekends and competing. So it's such a part of my identity as a human being. It's almost like you have to learn to live again. Like you got to learn to live differently. It's tough to do because you don't want to adjust your lifestyle to not racing, because you know it's coming back eventually, right? Yeah. So it's like this weird in between phase where you're basically you don't know what to do.
I talked to my super buddy Justin Brayton yesterday, and he's all, hey, real talk. Unfortunately, only virtually, and he's like, whatever. Hey, it's totally different. I'm going to embrace it. Maybe I'll have fun with it. It's such a weird, different, once-in-a-lifetime deal of being in one city for 3 weeks. Are you kind of looking at it that way? Like, hey, maybe this will be fun.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I can't say. I mean, I wish everything was normal, but this is what we have. This is what we're doing. So we might as well have a good time. And I got a pretty nice house, and it's not in Salt Lake City. It's pretty close. It's got a hot tub, ping pong table. No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of looking at it like a vacation, to be honest with you. It'll be exciting to go to a new place, and I've always liked Salt Lake City. The city, the vibe's pretty cool. So, man, I'm looking forward to it.
Can you tell everybody that on Instagram Live, the phone is flipped? Because it appears that you're on the left side of the truck, and people are freaking out.
Oh, yeah. So, Nick's I'm not driving. I would never do that. Do not text and drive or Instagram Live and drive.
Okay. All right. I'm like, why are people thinking this? And I'm like, wait, it's flipped. That's why.
Yeah, you might need to put that in the title of this video so people don't freak.
Yeah. You've done a good job, man. That
would be pretty impressive, though, if I could keep my eyes locked on you and keep us on the road. I could probably do it, but we won't risk it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And look, you're doing a pretty good job of keeping it straight, except you're not actually driving.
I'm trying not to get the phone too jiggly for everybody. I'm getting a little bit of arm pump. Had to switch hands a couple times.
Okay, all right. That's all part of the training, bro.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I'm pumped you're back. Everybody's pumped we're back racing. It's so weird. It's like round 1, part 2, and all these dudes coming back from injury like yourself. It's like the perfect, I don't want to say perfect storm because we reserved that for a race from back in the day, but kind of is a perfect storm. Can't get much better than this scenario.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We have a couple guys coming back from injury, including myself, and I think the excitement is very high. Everybody's been cooped up in their houses, and I think it's going to be crazy. I think there's going to be a lot of energy out there, and I plan on being one of the more crazy ones out there. So we'll see what happens.
I just don't plan on feeding off the crowd's energy. Okay, that's my advice.
Oh, no, we never do. If anything, it unlocks a a different aspect for me because I don't have to worry about sending the bike into the stands and hurting somebody.
Okay.
I can put it in the stands and it's no problem. I just have to go retrieve it.
Oh, maybe we can put all the bowl berms up and not worry about nets. Then we get crazy.
Net? Steve would be bummed.
Yeah, I know. There's no one to protect anymore. Gosh.
Yeah, no net.
All right, man. Well, thanks for checking in with us. This is cool. And the fans will at least see you on TV in about a week's time. So, man, it's really happening. This is great.
Yep, good times. Thanks, Weege. Appreciate you.
Yep. See you in person with a mask on in about a week and a half.
All right, sounds good.
All right, see you, AC.
See ya.
So there you have it from Adam Cianciarulo. Let's throw a shout out to our sponsor, Yoshimura. They make the exhaust system that is on this man's factory Honda, Justin Brayton's bike, Yoshimura Exhaust. They've got ones just for the regular Honda 450, of course the 250s as well, because the Geico Honda team uses their exhaust systems, and also that Works Edition Honda 450 has a very special Yoshimura exhaust system on it. Yeah, they've been dialing in Honda exhaust for a while. So go to yoshimura-rd.com, and now let's listen to Justin Brayton's thoughts on the Supercross plan.
There it is. What's up?
Weege, what's going on?
Man, the biggest bummer for me is that we haven't had a race in like 9 weeks, and we have not been allowed to hang out. I can't come by. I can't stop.
No.
I can't do anything.
I know, man. We were maybe going to get our kids together and ride some Stasics, but that didn't happen. So yeah, it's been quite the time, but I'm happy to be back. Hopefully, going to see you soon.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. Yeah, I'm going.
Oh.
I'll go to at least a few here at the beginning. Who knows? Maybe we'll be even on the same flight. Have you even figured out? I guess the riders probably knew a little more about this than most, but have you figured out all the logistics yet, or do you not even know exactly how you're going to manage all this?
Come on, man. You know that I'm the logistics man. So
that's right.
Yeah, house is booked, flights are booked. I actually go to California tomorrow, so then I'll ride a few days in California and then head up to Salt Lake next week. Then the family will fly in. Then we have our return flight and all the logistics. So you know me, I love doing that. Yes. So it's all dialed in. If you need help, let me know. I'll book all your stuff for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out all right now. I got shady ideas and I got safe ideas. I don't even know. I'm not going to lie. I even looked at them like, how long is the drive if I wanted to just bring everybody out there with me? Did you ever consider that?
I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I did not consider that. Because did you look at it? How far is it?
Yes.
It's got to be a haul, huh?
1 day, 6 hours.
That would be brutal, especially with kids. Could you imagine that?
Yes. So probably 4 days, 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly right.
And we all have a deadline because I'm trying to explain to the fans here how it's all going to work. We all have to be tested more than 48 hours before the race. So you got to be there early.
Yeah. So I'm planning on getting there Wednesday before the race. Yep. And whether I get tested on Wednesday or Thursday, I'm not sure yet. But, I got to get there early. You can't leave. I guess you can, but then you'd have to come back super early. So, we're just going to rent a house and really just stay for the month, which is actually pretty exciting. It's so different and so new to everybody.
Yep.
And I love that. With as much racing as I've done around the world, like I have to do that on a yearly basis, especially the last 4 years with racing in Australia. Then I've got to fly to Europe, then back to New Zealand, and then back over to Geneva to race, and back to Australia. And then you got to fit in all the testing here in America. So I actually love it. Like we've talked about this before, I love the logistics and trying to get it all right, trying to be the most comfortable you can be and try and be the best you can, I guess. Not on Saturdays anymore, every Sunday and Wednesday.
Do you think you're going to ride between these events? It's kind of hard to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned on it. I don't really think I need to. Between Sunday and Wednesday, I doubt we'll ride.
Right.
But potentially ride on like the Friday or something. Or and I really try and keep the crew in mind as well, like not just the riders and be demanding, hey, we need to ride this day, we need to ride that day. Like it's a lot on everybody. So what makes the most sense to keep everybody's stress level down? It's a stressful deal anyways, trying to get bikes ready to race Sunday and then to turn around and race Wednesday. And then, we can think about the first couple, but rounds 5, 6, and 7 at altitude, a lot of stress and whether you're having good weekends and a bad weekend, like there's so many variables. So I think the biggest thing is just to have a lot of mental space on the weekends, or not even on the weekends, I guess on race day, and to be fired up and ready to go when you need to be, which is when the gate drops.
That is what I've heard from most riders. They're not too stressed about if they don't get to ride during the week. While they're there, they're fine. But, you know, before Anaheim 1, everybody says that they're best shape of their life, bike's never been better, and then as soon as they race one time, it's a complete disaster for half the guys. So do you think everyone will stick to that, or is there a chance, I know it's somewhat halfway through the year right now, or is there a chance everyone's like, whoa, hold on, I need to check something?
I think it'll be probably split. I think guys will think they need to find something. I also think there has to be some, I guess, some mental battle, I guess, of you've already raced your setup. You know, this is round 11, right? Mm-hmm. But you're right. We could ride all off season and think our bike's amazing, and then Anaheim 1's totally different. But I do think for me anyways, I have belief knowing that we've raced on several different tracks so far. I know what my bike does, whether it's perfect on a certain track or not. You know, I know exactly what it's going to do. So I'm totally fine with leaving my bike, which I'm kind of that way anyways. I don't really like to change a lot of stuff. So I feel like I'll be fine. But the biggest thing is the engine setup and your gearing and stuff being at altitude. I think that's going to be the biggest, I guess, the biggest separation. Who's prepared in that sense.
Yeah, and we had your teammate Ken Roxon on here yesterday, and he said, look, as far as the riding between races, everyone has to figure out, well, what's 3 weeks living in altitude going to be like, you know, from a physical recovery standpoint? So maybe less is more. Have you're a logistics guy, thought about how the elevation is going to tie into training and all that?
Yeah, for sure. That was one of the first things, you know, Ken and I have been talking quite a bit, and that was one thing we've talked about a lot. And you know, where do we stay? What makes the most sense? Do we stay at a higher elevation, a lower elevation? You know, do we ride before the races to try and get the gearing right? Do we not? You know, there's so many variables, and I think everybody's in the same boat. So you just got to be confident when the gate drops and be ready to go. But also, I think the biggest thing is not burying yourself a hole at the beginning of the weeks. You know, like the first 2 weeks, I think is so important to stay fresh and maybe under train a little bit, because you can't do the same program. Like, you know, maybe there's a couple guys that can go up there and do the same program as they did at sea level.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough, especially, like I said, rounds 5, 6, and 7. If your workload has stayed the same as what you were at training at sea level, I think you're going to dig yourself a hole. So we're going to be really cautious of that. Yeah,
but it's going to be hard to resist. I know you like mountain bikes. This is like going to the Haven, dude.
Man, I know. So after the national that used to be out there, we would always stay a week after and ride in Park City. And gosh, some amazing trails. And I'm just like chomping at the bit, but maybe we'll just get an e-bike or something and go up there and have some fun.
Throughout this whole process, you know, you're a racer. Everybody gets paid. This is their job to race. So I'm sure you wanted to race. But was there any worry, like, behind the scenes of, like, we don't have staff or we can't get parts or maybe we're not allowed? Obviously, now everybody's on board. But was that, like, a moving target through this whole wait?
Well, for me, I broke my hand in Daytona, so I wasn't really riding, you know, several weeks after that race anyway. So it gave me and the team time to sort out enough stuff where, like, okay, I was off the bike for 4 weeks or whatever. When I started back riding, they were totally fine with me getting back on the bike. I did a couple days outdoors. And then I want to say that next week we got word of the May 17th date. You know, there was rumors floating around of possibly going back to racing May 17th. So I jumped right back on Supercross and have been riding ever since, which was, I guess, about 4 weeks or so ago. And, but no, Honda's been awesome. They've, we haven't been saving parts or anything, just full steam ahead. So I was pretty fortunate. I guess last week I was talking to team manager Eric Key on the phone. I'm like, man, I so hope we go racing because I just feel good. You know, I feel like the timing of it was just right. And if they were to push it back any further, it was like, all right, I'm going to have to pull back a little bit and maybe take a week off, or not a week completely off, but kind of back off the training. So I'm excited to be going racing. And I think everyone's really excited to do it. Even, you know, it's been cool to see all the teams and riders. Like, this isn't ideal for anybody, right? But it's so awesome that Feld has been able to pull this off, and everyone's kind of, grown closer through it all, and I think worked together more than ever. And yeah, we're going to finish off this season.
Yeah, it's something that I've been trying to explain. I was surprised when the news came out. There were obviously some fans that thought it was awesome, but I did hear from some saying, like, these guys got to ride 2 days a week, and the purse is a little bit smaller, and they don't get to go back home. You know, did the riders even weigh in on this, or is it being forced on them? And what I realized is I don't think a lot of people realize you can't just sit at home and continue to collect checks forever if we don't have racing. Like, we all need racing to eventually come back. So even if it's not ideal, it does need to happen regardless of how it looks.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for even a lot of people to keep their sanity, like to just get back to something. I mean, I've woke up with a certain purpose for 20 plus years now, and that purpose is to go racing. Of course, it was kind of fun the first few weeks, you know, hanging out with the family, and got to spend a lot more time with them. And, you know, you just kind of going through the day like, oh, what should I do? And then after 4 weeks, it's like, all right, when I wake up, I want to know that I'm going to do a warm up. I want to go to the track. There were several times where I just took my kids to the track and we just hung out. It was before I started riding. And so, yeah, it's kind of all we've known. And even for the crews, you know, like that's what we love. And that's one thing about this sport is it's a choice to be in it, I believe. And those who've chosen to be in it absolutely love it. Like I've told people before, like I'm 36 and I wouldn't choose any other thing to do during the day. Like if somebody asks, what's your ideal day? You know, set aside being with family. I want to go ride my motorcycle and hang around with my friends that ride. Yeah. So we're all just excited to get back to it. It's a cool time.
Right. So that's, we don't have to cry for the riders having to race twice in a week. You'll take that over not riding at all.
No, actually I was even okay with the back-to-back races. I mean, do it all the time in Europe, and some days I actually feel better on the second day than I do on the first day. And, but I get it. I get it for the crews if you have some sort of mechanical and it's just a quick turnaround. So I like this Wednesday thing. It brings a whole different vibe. It sounds like we're going to be racing during the day. So, or at least on several of them. And, I haven't quite researched the TV schedule, but I would think we'll reach a whole new audience.
Yeah. It's really one of the first races back. So that the upside on TV is awesome. Now, the weird thing is there aren't going to be fans. Have you even been able to like think about how different this might be? Or is it, you really won't know how different it feels until we're literally doing it? We won't have opening ceremonies, I assume. There's no track walk. Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff. It's going to be interesting.
There is a lot of weird stuff. And you pointed out what I think is maybe the weirdest is no track walk. That's pretty crazy. And a lot of my friends were asking me, because, you know, I have some friends in NASCAR. And so we were talking about it this weekend. Like, they didn't have practice. They just went straight to it. Yeah. And somebody asked me, what if you guys did that? I'm like, I feel like that's next to impossible. There's no way we could just go straight into racing. And even though we're not going straight into racing, this is going to be pretty wild to not walk the track. And once again, just another thing thrown at us that I'm going to kind of embrace. I think it's cool. I typically get tracks down pretty quick. I can kind of visualize how it's going to be and how the rhythm lanes are going to go. So, interesting time for sure, but it's going to be fun to figure it all out as it comes.
Well, yeah. Okay. So when we see you guys hit the track, the very first lap of free practice, you're doing the majority of the jumps. Maybe the biggest rhythm isn't there yet. But it appears that you guys can immediately roll out there and do most of the stuff. How much of that comes from track walk, or do you already know from the track map or a photo or something? How much comes from track walk, and how much did you already know, or even you can just tell by riding up to the jump?
I think for me, probably 90% of it comes from track walk.
Really?
You can just know, like, okay, you're going to go 3 right there, 3 there. And then I would say the final 10% is I love to watch the 250 practice before us. Okay. And then you almost immediately know. And then we're so accustomed to, you know, this face being a little bit lower, or that face being higher. We've all jumped so many different jumps in our lives that we know exactly how much throttle it will take to go 3 out of a corner or hit a triple or hit the finish line. So we're typically racing by like lap 2 or 3 in practice. Yeah. Jump everything on the first lap. Where now we're going to roll. I believe we're rolling for 3 minutes or something, wheels on the ground. And so, yeah, and I don't think we're going to get to watch the practice before us. If we were able to watch the practice before us, we'd do everything first lap again and not even have to truly walk it. I think I could just watch somebody do something.
Wow.
And you know exactly what to do. Actually, a story a couple years ago, Minneapolis, I had an issue first practice, and so I didn't get to ride. So I just went up in the stands and watched the 250 practices. Next practice, I took off first and did everything first lap and was straight to it. So it doesn't take long as you can kind of watch somebody else do it.
So it could be if you both don't get track walk and you can't, be in the stadium to watch the big screen and watch 250s, this could be tricky. It could be a lot different.
It'll be tricky, yeah. Yeah, it could be a lot different if you don't see somebody actually ride it and you don't have your feet on the ground and actually kind of see, all right, this will shoot you this high or this will shoot you this far. So, but it'll be different, be the same for everybody, and that's what's kind of fun about this whole process.
Well, look, you've done so many international races, so much off-season stuff, and even your kind of humble roots coming through the sport, you kind of had a lot of different things thrown at you. I don't think you're a guy that's always had everything perfect and figured out every race day when you wake up. So you got to be looking at this as maybe an advantage for you.
Yeah, I would say 6 or 7 years ago, I'd kind of be stressed because I liked every detail in order and everything just perfect. And I had a schedule, and where now I don't wing it, but if something gets thrown, if I get thrown a curveball, it's totally fine. I just kind of let it slide and like, okay, well, what's the next best thing, or what's the best situation we can make out of this? Okay, well, let's do that. And don't even think about the bad. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And yeah, so it'll be fine either way. And I mean, we've already got a big wrench thrown at us with a lot of, like we talked about, the logistics thing and stuff. And I embrace all of it. I enjoy it. And, all these other races I do around the world, it's not like they're perfect. There's things getting changed all the time. So I'm kind of immune to it.
Okay, so you are really lucking out timing-wise because you mentioned you get hurt on the last lap of Daytona. You break your hand. How did you finish? I don't understand. How did you actually finish the Daytona race?
Well, we only had about 3/4 of a lap, so I knew my hand was broke right when it happened, and I actually thought there was like a bone maybe coming out here.
Jeez.
But I kind of just rode more towards the inside of my hand, and it was just 3/4 of a lap, and I'm like, oh, I could still get a top 10. All right, cool. Let's try and finish this deal. But there was a wall jump right before the finish, and I still sent it the last lap, which that hurt pretty bad, but I couldn't have went another few laps, no way. But just 3/4 of a lap, I was fine. It was all right. Okay,
so when people look at the results at the end of the year, it's going to look perfect because it's the injury will never have been seen. You finished okay at Daytona, so much talk is about Eli and Roxon battling for the points lead. You're back from injury. You're 100%. I think a lot of people are wondering, okay, how into it are all the other guys who maybe don't have $1 million title bonus on the line going to be? So for you, what is there to gain and putting all your chips on the table for these 7 races? What are your goals?
I think there's a ton to gain for everybody. I really feel like it's a 7-race series. I feel like we did a 10-race series 2 years ago, and now it's a whole nother series. It feels like that long ago.
Yeah.
So there's massive incentive. There's obviously still a lot of money on the line. For me, I don't know how much longer I'll be racing. So if these are my last 7 races, I'm going to give it everything I have. And there's still a ton on the line. And of course, I'd love to go out with potentially another win or a podium. And the points are pretty tight, basically from 6th place back to 11th or 12th. And I'm right in that fight. So I'd love to try and get, top 6 or who knows what happens to guys in the top 5, maybe get a top 5 overall. And we're racers. Like that's what we do. That's what motivates us is by our results. I enjoy the process more than ever. And there's a ton of incentive. And also with Honda, like we want to get this championship and I could be a small part of that with maybe my results on the track or helping where I can off the track and just trying to be a good teammate and a good team player. I think if I can get really good results and we can bring home this championship with Ken, that would be a perfect season.
At the beginning of the year, we always say there's like 12 guys that can win or 15 guys that can win. And there is. The first couple races are nuts. And then it starts to whittle down. The last couple of rounds we did have, it was Eli, Kenny, and Cooper for the most part on the podium. Barcia in there a little bit. But you go back to the beginning of the year when Barcia was winning. Adam Cianciarulo was going super fast. You have Anderson, Osborne, yourself, Dean Wilson getting better. The beginning of the year, that seems like there's more guys that think they can win or could win. Is there a chance we're almost back to that a little bit because we had 9 weeks off or whatever?
I believe 100% we are. Like I said, I think this is a 7-race series, and typically about round 6 or 7, everyone kind of has their place. You know, you might get an odd winner here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of slot into your spot, and it's not me thinking like, okay, I'm a 7th place guy, I'm going to just try and get 7th tonight. It's just the way it goes, you know, like Eli and Ken were obviously the class of the field, you know, even in the, I guess the middle or early, for sure. Ken was, you know, round 2 and then Eli had some wins, and then Ken had another win, and Coop got a win. But yeah, those guys, I think, just get their confidence rolling, their bikes completely dialed in, and then they're world-class riders. Like, for me to go beat them straight up is a really tough task. So I think it has to take an odd night for guys like 5th to 10th to try and get a win or really get on the podium. It's possible, but I do think these 7 races are just, everyone believes they can win again. We all have confidence. We've all been riding the tracks and think our bike's perfect. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be awesome for the fans and as a rider. Like, all right, here we go. It's round 1. I mean, I came out round 1 this year and won the first heat race and probably surprised a lot of people and ran 3rd in the main for a long time until me and Anderson got together. So that could happen again. So we'll see.
All right, man, sounds exciting. And by the way, like, to have a championship being decided on these crazy circumstances, like, what excitement for the fans. That it happens to be close, and we happen to have this nuts scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and think as a fan, like, we're all bench racers too, right? So as a fan, you get to watch a race on Sunday night or Sunday.
Yeah.
And then you bench race about it for 48 hours. Then you watch another one.
Yeah.
Then you bench race about that one for 3 days or so. Then you get to watch another one, and it's going to be amazing. I don't know how you guys are going to keep up with podcasts and race reports and rider interviews and stuff, but it's going to be like potentially the best month we've ever had in the history of sport as far as just racing and what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
Oh man, no way. This guy won or this guy did that. Oh, what's going to happen in 2 days? You know, so going to be pretty cool. And it'll be fun to look back on and fun to be a part of.
Cool. Now look, you had something going on here during this break. You still had your race back home. Talk about what you just did over the weekend.
Yeah. So we started this, the Justin Brayton shootout, I guess 4 years ago now. It's just something I wanted to start back home where I grew up. And I used to race at this track, Riverside Raceway in Winterset. And the promoter, Tony Wink, always did a great job of promoting the race. And his track prep was always the best. That, you know, that's what you remember as a kid, like how good was the track prep? Oh, the dirt was amazing and the ruts were good and the jumps were fun. And that's what I always remember about his track. So we got together and created this event, something that just I wanted to go back to every year and get guys like Damon Bradshaw involved and Chad Pedersen, a local hero of mine, and Denny Stevenson, and, you know, some old school guys like that, and then bring some new flair to it. Hopefully get some younger riders there. It's typically on the first round of the motocross series, so it's hard to get guys back. And this year was touch and go, obviously, with everything going on. I mean, literally it was last minute that we were, you know, we pushed go on it. And I was still able to go back, which was really cool. And just a fun event for me, more of a hangout and a bench racing session with old friends and meet a bunch of new ones. And this year we had an amazing turnout, almost 700 riders. And there's a lot of local guys coming up where I grew up. I mean, Fort Dodge, Iowa is a town of like 25,000 people, and you got Chad Pedersen and Teddy Mayer and Gavin Faith, and there's tons of we've always had a lot of guys come out of there for some reason.
Yeah,
it's really a motocross community around there, and I just wanted to give something back to guys that are coming up and guys that, you know, I looked up to Pedersen and I got to see him ride a couple times. But guys like McGrath were always cartoon characters to me because I only saw them on TV or in the magazines.
Yeah.
So for the local guys to be able to see me there and have a factory Honda there to look at and see me ride around the track that they're riding, like, I just feel like it gives them, gives them a chance, you know, like to think about this is possible, because I really didn't think it was possible until it happened. I didn't believe that I could race Supercross. So now there's a lot of young kids coming through. There was a couple kids that were Loretta's champs that were there. And so to talk to some families and give some advice and say, hey, this is what I do. Not that it's right by any means or wrong, but like, here's what I think would help. It's really fun to give back. That's one of my favorite things to do now is to mentor and give back, and the things that I've learned, just shed some light to other people on what may happen or what may not happen along the way.
So was this a race or a ride day? How does this Justin Brayton shootout work?
Yeah, so Thursday, Friday is just practice days. And then Saturday, Sunday is races. They're 2 separate days of racing. But Saturday's a full day of racing. Sunday's a full day of racing. And we had some awesome weather. It looked like rain the whole time. It was rain all day Saturday, and then it just kept getting pushed back on Saturday, and it didn't rain till like 7:00 at night. Ended up being an amazing weekend, and the track was just perfect. So it was fun. I got to get out there and ride a little bit with the guys, and me and Bradshaw got to throw some roost on each other. So that's always fun.
But you do not go behind the gate and make it like literally a shootout where they're like going after you. We're not at that point.
I have every other year, but I didn't
really?
this year. I thought for sure there is no way I'm going to line up this year with Supercross is coming up.
Yeah.
And that would not be a fun phone call to say, I got in a first turn pile up in the 450A class at a local race. I'm supposed to be racing Supercross. So,
right.
And a lot of people did ask me like, oh man, why aren't you racing? I'm like, come on, what kind of question is that? So we did go out there. Like we would let, the guys go, and then me and Bradshaw would hop in, and I did the practice day on Friday, and I wanted to for sure get some riding in just because I was there. I had my bike there. Duffy, my mechanic, drove up our bikes. And so we had a great time. And like I said, the track was great. And it was fun to, meet some new friends and hang out with some old, although we were, social distancing at the same time. Trying to.
I heard the turnout was really good. We keep hearing these stories about anything motorcycles right now is kind of booming, oddly.
It was unreal to be a small local race in Iowa. There was people from all over. I think I heard the announcer say one time there was one class that had 10 different states represented, which is amazing. Cool to be a part of, and fun to get everyone there and see all the local talent. There's some fast kids there. So although Marshall Welton came up from Club MX and swept all the A classes, so he went home with just over $4,000. So it was a solid weekend for him.
And kind of on the sly, you do have a shop that you run actually in North Carolina. And I've talked to you and anybody else in any motorcycle shop anywhere in the country. It's like a weirdo boom time. I guess people have time on their hands. I don't know how much money they're going to have, because obviously this is an economic hardship for us. But it's so odd that more people are riding and buying stuff than ever right now.
It's awesome. Great for us. Great for the motocross community. I don't know what's going to happen in several months down the road, but who cares? Guys are getting out on their bikes. Guys are restoring old bikes. Guys are buying new bikes. It's been really cool to see. I've had more people reach out to me, like old friends, of like, hey, what bike should I get? And hey, I've got this old bike. Hey, do you have any parts for this? Or hey, what pipe should I get? Or just random things. Like people are wanting to ride, and kids too, like kids especially, even bicycle shops, like I've heard the local bicycle shops can't keep kids bikes in stock. So all that's great. I think it's cool. Maybe it'll re-spark some interest in our sport for guys to get out there at the local level and really start racing again. Yeah.
It's a far change. Look, we make the joke that you're like the really old guy out there, but to be honest, the amount of time ago when you were racing like locally isn't that long, and that scene has changed so much in such a short time. I'd love to see people just getting back into it for fun and as a hobby again. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think so many amateur guys just practice now, like they just practice and ride at these training facilities. And I'm a huge guy in racing, you have to race. I don't care where it is. I don't care if there's 4 guys on the gate, but just to feel that feeling of racing, it's different. And I think that's why, the first couple races of the season for us in Supercross, even though we've done it for years and years, it's always a little bit different. A guy might get arm pump. A guy's bike might be set up wrong. So I think now moving forward to these Salt Lake races, it's going to be awesome. These first 2 or 3, it's like we haven't raced in a while, and it's always a little bit different, a little bit more nerve-wracking. You wake up, your body feels a little bit different, and I feel like that's great for these kids to feel, rather than just racing 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, that's good. Help everybody out. All right, look, This is awesome. You got what you want. You're healed up. You're ready to race. You get to use the logistical skills. You just have to be so pumped, man. We're back to racing.
Back to racing. Here we go. We get to hang out, or can we hang out still, Weege, or what? Can we hang out?
I don't know.
Like 6 feet apart.
6 feet apart. Yeah, 6 feet apart. I have not gotten. They're sending. I'm on the media list. They haven't sent us our rules yet. I believe the teams, got a thing over the weekend, so you kind of know the ins and outs already.
Yeah, we got a several page document to go over. Yes. So yeah.
I don't know exactly yet how it's going to go, but I'll see you from 6 feet apart. That much I'm pretty sure is going to happen. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks for giving us time. Most of the time when I've been doing these, I've been saying like, hey, what else you got to do? But no, now you actually got to be busy. This is crunch time now.
Yeah, crunch time. And as we sit, obviously you're in North Carolina, I'm in North Carolina. We're getting like a full-on rainstorm, crazy like hurricane coming or something. So I called Kehoe yesterday. I'm like, hey, we've got rain all week. Is it cool if I fly to California on Wednesday and start doing some rides? So they're having to get a bike ready. And so, I'm heading out tomorrow, and we'll ride, 4 or 5 days in California before I head to Salt Lake. So, kind of crazy timing.
That was only – you said that at the beginning. I just figured this all along. That was only because of the weather. Like you were just going to work from home and then go race. Yeah.
I planned on just riding down at Club MX for this week and maybe even a little bit of next, and then the family and I heading out to Salt Lake. But this was total last minute. I was booking different flights and all that, and so here we go.
All right, awesome. All right, we're back racing, and most importantly, everybody's excited about it, and hopefully the fans are too. So, all right, we'll see you in about a week and a half.
Sounds good, Weech. Have a good day.
Thanks, JB.
Always a good time when you get Justin Brayton here on the podcast and Adam Cianciarulo, 2 of the most well-spoken. I feel like they're not guys that like keep secrets. They just kind of tell you what they think, not in like a abrasive, harsh way. Interesting analysis there from Cianciarulo that he wishes he could maybe be a little more Michael Jordanish and care less what people think about him. Maybe he would perform better, or maybe not. We'll get more because I'm going to be out there in Salt Lake City, and we'll probably talk to these 2 riders, I bet, quite a bit while we're there, although it still might be done over Zoom or a phone call, because I don't know if we'll actually be able to get anywhere near them when we're at the race to actually do interviews. That's all up in the air. They're still trying to figure out the rules on that. But I'll be out there, so will Steve Mathis, and I think our boy Jason Thomas is going to find his way in as well. So we'll have the typical coverage, Salt Lake, starting next Sunday. And we'll have more podcasts between now and then. Plenty to cover. So keep it with us. Thanks to our sponsor, Yoshimura and RacerX. Go to subscribe, racerxonline.com/Weege, and get yourself a deal on the magazine in print and digital right now. All right, see you soon.